Hello everybody. For those of you that do not know me, my name is Maria and I'm sharing my ayahuasca experience with you guys. This past weekend I decided for my 22nd birthday that it was time to dive deeper into myself and face the parts of me that I had suppressed and tucked away. Over the last 2 years I've been doing a lot of inner work and healing, and there's only so much I could do from what I had remembered. There's a lot of traumatic experiences from childhood and even past lives and things that have been passed down my bloodline that I didn't even know those were the roots of why I would react in certain ways and would hold certain emotions and didn't know where certain ones would come from, but I would just feel them. And I'd have days where I would feel everything at once, and if somebody asked me the question of what's wrong, I couldn't tell you. That's what those emotions were. And so basically, let me get started. So night one, we all introduced ourselves and our intention behind being there. The facilitators and staff, they introduced themselves and their story. And we all sat around a sacred fire and cleansed ourselves and spoke our intention into our heart, and then threw herbs into the fire. And then it was go time. We all went to our mats and started off with 1 dose, which is 1 tablespoon. They usually start off with 2, but they were trying something different just to have everyone ease into it and let the medicine get to know your body. Be gentle, you know, you don't want to rush into anything with the lady. And so I sat there meditating, almost falling asleep from how deep of a meditative state I was getting into. The most beautiful medicine music was playing the entire time to, I guess, make the journey a lot more lovely, is how I can put it. And after about 30-45 minutes, they came around with a booster shot, and I took another tablespoon. At that point, we were able to lay down and break the meditative state or stance, and so I decided I'll take a nap. Didn't really feel too much. I ended up purging and still wasn't really feeling the medicine, so I decided to go to sleep and woke up in the middle of the night. I was kind of feeling it. And I was like, oh my goodness, everyone's already going through their stuff, getting ready to come down, and am I about to just start right now at like 2 a.m.? But it was just like a slight buzz, and I had an understanding that she was working internally for me. The first night was supposed to be calm and gentle, and she was learning my body. I was gaining trust, and I remember earlier that week I had asked my spirit guides to send me a sign or an omen if I should be doing combo at the end of the weekend, which is frog poison that makes you face the pain of your heart. I can go into more of that detail a little bit later on, but I had a frog jump on me and wake me up that first night, and I was like, okay, all right, I hear ya. I ended up seeing that frog the rest of the weekend, so I'll also be adding my combo video after this one. The next morning when I woke up, I felt lighter mentally. I wasn't too sure what to expect because you're not supposed to be having expectations with this. And I saw the others that had gone through some trauma and some emotions and really went through it that night. They were a little bit in shock Some of them felt a lot more lighter, and I wasn't trying to base my experience off theirs because everyone's is different. And I decided to participate in the daytime ceremony, this time starting off with 2 tablespoons, and setting my intentions this time. I didn't tell you about my first intentions. My first intentions were to release which no longer serves me to its best and highest form, so I can understand a deeper truth that lies within me. The daytime ceremony, my intention was different. I had my hands on the ground, feeling the earth's pulse, and my intention was to connect deeper to the earth, and through connecting with Mother Nature, finding the truth that lies within me. She liked that one. I was laying there for a while, wasn't really kicking in, hadn't purged yet, and before hopping on another dose, I decided to get blasted with a rapé, which helps you purge. Rapé is ground up tobacco leaves, and it is blown up each nostril, one at a time, and it helps you purge. So for using it with ayahuasca, if you aren't purging, it will help you do so, or if you're in deep and you're looping and you're stuck and you're just way too in there, you can get blasted with rapé, and it will help bring you back and ground you and push you through whatever you were stuck on and move on to the next lesson in your journey. So my friend Alex, who usually assists me in rapé, I was gonna have him give it to me, and only because I had comfort and I trusted him, and I've experienced it with him before, even though there was another man there that was giving out the rapé. And then something in me, my intuition told me, no, the other man needs to do it. And so I listened, and it was the most gentle rapé I had gotten. It wasn't much of his breath interfering with my experience. It was just enough of a little push for me to get to where I needed to be for the medicine to start working. And I laid back, I started to close my eyes and meditate, and a huge wave of gratitude washed over me. Just for everyone in my life, and anyone I've ever crossed paths with. Every lesson that was in the eyes of every person I met. I began to place my hands over my womb, which was vibrating. It was on fire. I had started my menstrual cycle earlier that morning, a week early, and I had already known what that was about. She was to heal my womb this weekend. I have a lot of sexual trauma I've been through, and how other times where I've been taken advantage of, the way I decided to cope with sexual trauma was to sleep around and to share myself with those who were not worthy, and it was also I could validate my control. It's a funny way that how we do things backwards to think that we're healing, but we're not. And so when I started my menstrual cycle that morning, and I was like, I'm bleeding for her today. She's bleeding for me. And I had my hands over my womb, and it was vibrating. I was just sending so much love. I could feel her working on me. I could envision my cells dancing around, happy together, making love. And I could feel release. I then moved my hands up to my chest, feeling my heartbeat. I began to cry from how much gratitude I held for all the love that I've experienced, all the love that I have learned from, all the love that I hold and have to offer to this world. It's overwhelming sometimes how much I hold inside, and it's so much love that it like overflows, and I don't know what to do with it sometimes, but what a wonderful feeling to have that much inside. No complaints there. Man, I sat there for a while feeling that and crying and just appreciating it. And then I moved up to my eyes. My eyes were closed. The sun's beating down on me. And I could see every cell in my hand, every web, just everything. But my eyes were closed, and it was blues and greens and reds, and I could see all the colors and just see it all and feel it all. And I was expressing gratitude for sight, for being able to see the way that I see. And my perspective on life has always been a lot different from those around me. And there's definitely been times where I thought there's something wrong with me because of that, until I realized that it's a gift. It's such a gift to see the way that I see. And I spent some time going over my entire body, just loving it, just giving so much love. And then I'm putting my hands on the earth, and I could feel the heartbeat from the earth pulsing through my own veins. And then everything got fuzzy. And I realized, oh man, this is it. It's kicking in. Alright. And I laid back. The music that was playing, I just let take control. And if anyone's ever smoked DMT, and they know about the little world that goes on when you close your eyes, how there's beings there, almost of the spiritual realm, and they move very slow. They move in slow motion because I feel like because time is of no existence there. Why rush, you know? And I was laying there, and they were going over me, touching little parts of me, and I could feel my body where I was being worked on. Like, my shoulder was out of alignment. They were fixing that. My womb needed some healing and love. They were all in there giving it some love, and they were just fixing little parts of me, and I was like kind of twitching a little bit, but it was okay. And just so much ecstasy washed over me. There's this wonderful couple that at the retreat sing in Spanish along with one of the songs that plays, and they come and they stand over you and they begin singing, and oh my goodness, it is such a beautiful experience. They were doing that, it was amplifying my experience, and it was almost overwhelming with ecstasy, and I began to cry, happy tears. And Mother Aya for a second was like, "You gonna cry? What?" Next thing you know, my friend Alex is in the background, popping up behind leaves in my mind, like making funny faces at me, just being super goofy and making me laugh. And that's exactly what I needed, just so much laughter pouring from my heart. And the sun's beaming down on me, and then all of a sudden, I start to get really hot. Like, oh my gosh, I haven't been drinking water. I'm laying in direct sunlight and I'm dehydrating. My heart's beating out of my chest. Something's wrong. And I didn't feel good. I sat up and I threw up. I started to purge. I finally threw up the doses that I had drank, and just a bunch of black, toxic throw up. Energetically, physically, all that crap that was in me, and just throwing it up. And my first immediate reaction was to have my legs like this and put my head down. And I began crying so hard. So much pain was coming out of me. It was almost unbearable. And what popped into my head was shame. I'm putting my head down because I don't want to be seen like this. I don't want to feel these things. I feel sorry for myself. I'm feeling shameful. And it reminded me of all the times that I have shamed myself. All the times when I was a child and I would feel isolated. I would be put in the corner and almost pointed at, like laughed at and made fun of, and all of these things that I thought others did to me, which they did do to me, but in reality, it's what I had done to myself that was hurtful, is what affected me the most. And all this sexual trauma started to come up too. All the times that I had been taken advantage of comes back to all the times that I took advantage of myself. And I was crying so hard because I was asking myself why, like, it was that part of me that I was trying to push into the corner, that part of me that I was ashamed of, the parts of me that I didn't want to have a part of me. But the thing is, it's always going to be a part of me, and I have to send love to those parts. And the child in me was asking, why did you abandon me? Why are you ashamed of me? What have I done so wrong that you don't want me to be a part of you? And how could I treat myself like that? I was trying to focus on my breaths and had my feet in the ground. I had my hands on the ground. I was trying to ground myself out because, like, gosh, it was so overwhelming how much I was releasing. I was crying very loud. I was also starting to think about the other people I was affecting around me because I was crying so much. And a lady came over and she did some Reiki on me, and I could feel her lifting my pain away and taking it and transmuting it into love, which, thank you for Reiki. Let me tell you about that. She whispered in my ear, "It's time to come back to the earth." And I understood. I kept wanting to put my head down to keep crying, and I would pull myself out, and I kept raising my head, and I kept wanting to go back to it, and I told myself, we're not going there anymore. We're not crying about this anymore. Rise up and let go. Forgive and love those parts of you. But we're not taking it with us anymore. We're loving it, and we're not crying about this anymore. And I was able to collect myself and collect my breath. And I could feel it all be lifted off of me. I couldn't cry anymore. It was, I had to go through all of that pain and feel it all before I could release it. I had to sit with it and understand it. And once I calmed down, I laid down and I began laughing. Because I felt so much better. was beginning to understand the meaning of all of this, of having to forgive yourself, having to love yourself and be there for yourself. Started to think about my family and the friends that I have in my life. My friend Kristen that was there supporting me. My eyes were closed because I wanted to open them, but I couldn't. For some reason, my eyes just kept shutting, but I could feel her there, rooting me on. And how grateful I am to have the people in my life that do love me unconditionally. They've seen me in all forms. My most vulnerable, my most angry, my most nasty, disgusting, cruel ways of being, my most loving, nurturing, happy, purest states, and accepting every part of that. And realize that the friend in me and how much I need myself was accepting that. And just lay there and meditated on what I had experienced and just went through. And that basically wraps up my daytime ceremony. Now, doing pretty good here. I usually not able to speak like this. That's something I'm working on though. 'Cause I'm not stopping in between videos or segments of my journey. Next is the breath work that I experienced. We had some workshops going on. Oh, let me start with the Rape workshop because that was before breath work. We were going over the different strains of Rape because there's some different blends, and some are stronger than others, as well as the breath that you use to administer it. And the instructor was going through how you have a light one that usually is used to get people to purge, and it's like light and then boom. And then you have one that's just a lot more pressure. It's just a straight shot. And that usually helps ground people out. And this becomes very relevant for my nighttime ceremony. So that's why I'm talking about that. The breathwork workshop. Yo, our breath is magical. We honestly don't even really need the medicine that we have. It's a tool, and so beautiful that we have it and are able to access it and tap into certain parts. But our breath can take us on any journey and help us access and tap into any part of us. For an hour and a half, to go along with the music, which would sometimes be fast-paced and low or slower paced, we would be breathing. And for an hour and a half straight, no breaks. And that dizzy feeling you get when you're breathing really fast or you're blowing up a balloon. Wow, I just got kind of lightheaded doing that. You usually stop because you get lightheaded. Well, if you don't stop and you breathe through it and you keep it going, you access a different part of yourself, and you're able to purge, you're able to release, you're able to access parts of like your past life. it's hard for me to explain this part because it's more something that you need to experience for yourself. And mainly because it's hard when the knowledge is in here and trying to like put it into words. It's like kind of hard for me sometimes. Bear with me, guys. When it was almost time for the nighttime ceremony, which apparently is called the grand finale, I really wanted to dive deeper. Because I know what I had released earlier when I was crying that day was just scratching the surface. And that was painful, but I was so ready to dive deeper because I know that I need to get some things out. I need to start this process of healing on a deeper level. And there is this thing called Sananga, which is rapé for your eyes. So Sananga has traces of iboga in it, which is an African shrub that, the way it was explained to me and how I experienced it was doing iboga alone makes you face yourself for 24 waking hours, just in your face of all the things you are doing wrong, all the things you need to change, all the things that just need to stop or need to happen. And there's no escaping it. Just in your face, straight truth in your face. And there's traces of this in Sananga, which is the rapé version, or the eye version of rapé. And whew, boy, does that burn. I laid back and I knew, I was like, my intention for this ceremony is surrender. Surrender in all forms. And I want to see truth. No matter how scary that may be, I want to see it. I want to experience it. I'm ready for pain. And so I laid back and they dropped 2 eye drops into each little eye socket. And I had to be held down because as soon as you open your eyes and oxygen hits it, it is the most excruciating pain I have felt. My eyes are burning. On a scale from 1 to 10, that pain was a 12. And I could feel when I was blinking layers of dead skin cells being burned off of my eyes. And it's, you get better vision from that, but it also opens your third eye. And what a perfect time to do it before I drink and meet with Mother again, so I can just be focused. And it lasted for about 3 to 5 minutes of the burning, and finally it started to cool down. I really had to focus on my breath there, because without my breath I would have probably had a panic attack, and who knows where that would have gone. But realizing the more pain that I endure, gosh, I love pain. Once I realized no pain ever actually lasts forever. So I'm so willing to experience it now because I know that it's necessary, and I am so much stronger after it. And it does end. The pain does end. And we were getting ready to sit around the fire and be cleansed and set our intentions. Set my intention to surrender and to be shown truth. We all went back to our mats, and I started off with 2 doses this time. And when it comes to the dosage, it's not like when you take LSD and you take one hit one night, and then the next day, okay, I need 2 hits now. It's more so, okay, I drank a tablespoon of ayahuasca last night, and now I'm drinking another one today, or 2 today, and I can feel that other one come in, and they all just blend. It's always working through you. And it did not take me long to purge. It's like as soon as I threw up, I was behind my eyes, I was inside of myself, and my head just, I could feel when my head dropped, and I was like just face planted in my mat basically. And sorry if this takes me a while to explain, but it's worth it. Trust me. I began to get the sense of home, but not like house home. I mean, I was dying. It was showing me, because Mother Aya cannot speak in words, she speaks through telepathy. What she's showing you, you just know what's going on. And I had been there before. In this life too. It's so crazy. Everyone that was there drinking that weekend, every facilitator there and shaman there that was volunteering and helping and just a part of it, we all had a soul contract to experience that together. And we've been doing it for centuries. And I was being shown that everything I have done in my life had led up to that moment. And I was mainly seeing my friend Alex and Kristen, who were there facilitating and watching over me, but how relevant they are to my life and how we have lived many lives together. And everything was speeding up. Everything was happening so fast. I began to get stuck in a loop of experiencing death and life at the same time. So, like the spiral, how we were dancing and dancing to find our way home. It was showing me how everything in my life, all these memories were rushing back, and I was experiencing them all over again with certain friends, certain lovers, certain family members, and all leading up to that moment. 22 years old, at an ayahuasca retreat, drinking medicine. That was where my life ended, and I would die. And what happens when you dance back to the center, to home, and you die, life moves backwards and it unravels. And then it does it again. And I was going back and forth, and it was showing me that I've done this so many times, and I just get wiped of my memory once I get back home. And then I was living this life again, all these things all up into that moment, and it would just got deja vu. I got back to the center, to home, and everything was white. I guess this is where the jokester in me is too, because there's this guy, right when I went to the last bit of life, everything else was passing over. It was moving in slow motion. Everything went from fast to slow. And he turns around and he goes, "That's it." And then everything started to speed up again. And my life, everything happened again. And it sped up, all the way back to when I took that sip of medicine, drink, and threw up. And as soon as I threw up, that was my soul leaving my body, and I would die, and everything would rewind and play back. And then I'd see him again. That's it. And it was just like fast forward through my life, drink it, and every time I was like purging, and it was showing me that I was like experiencing this over and over and over again. I have drank this medicine. I have had these ceremonies, these sacred moments. I have been with this tribe before. It's happened for centuries. And I've lived and died so many times. And I was stuck. And then Alex and Kristen, they came over and they're like, "Let's get you on the grass. Like, let's ground you out." And as soon as I went and I touched the grass, I really want everyone to pay attention to what I'm saying right now, because this is a message to you all. As soon as I gripped the grass and I felt the earth, she talked to me like never before. She's hurting. She is hurting so bad for us. She does not need us. We need her. She sacrifices so much for us. She is our platform, the only way we are surviving and alive and able to experience this human life, go through all the things that we need to go through, all the lessons that we have to keep going through until we actually learn them, and we are destroying her in the process. The thing is she is strong enough for us to go through all these things. She's patient with us. But I could feel how much she's hurting. And it's because of how we treat her. And then how we treat each other. I was trying to open my eyes because I did not want to see and feel what I was feeling. I was trying to open them so bad. And I would roll back and I could see all of the stars and all the constellations and how they were all connected. And I rolled back even further and I just locked on the moon, locked in with it. And I could feel the energetic field, the grid of from around our earth. I could feel it. And it was showing me how our collective is glitching. We're stuck. And the reason we're stuck and we're glitching is because of how we are treating ourselves, how we are poisoning ourselves, how we are treating each other, and how we are treating the earth. And we need more love. If we don't love, if we don't share love and give it to ourselves, if we don't give it back to the earth, that's how we are going to destroy ourselves. We are already destroying ourselves, but it is not too late. But we need more love. And I started to dive in so deep that my face was down in the dirt and I was gripping it, and I started to experience me trying to speak up. I wanted to talk. I was going through different points and experiences and situations in my life where I wanted to talk and speak up, and I would go to talk and I would just sigh, and like and I was like sighing but also moaning, because at that same time I was experiencing all the times that I had gotten fucked. And I don't mean made love to. All the times I had sex and it was not rooted in love. All the times I had masturbated and it was not making love to myself, which I was being shown is not okay. And sexual trauma was coming up. And any time that I would go to speak up but I was not heard, or I just didn't speak up for myself, was wasted breath. And that's all that could come out to me. I just had to keep experiencing those experiences and situations over and over and over again. And I couldn't speak up about it. And then I was like, I got it. I understood what was happening. And I said, I understand. And I thought that would release it, until that started looping. From all the times that I told myself that I understood, and I would start speaking up for myself, and I would start respecting my sacred space, and how I just didn't do it. And so I had to keep reliving those experiences over and over and over again. And I would be reaching out for help. I wanted to get out of that so badly. And anyone I would reach out to turned their head and ignored me and ignored me and ignored me. And there's things that needed to get done. And it was showing me like all the times that I had put off my passions, or put something off, and I say I was going to do something, I just put it off, and it gets pushed to later, or I ignore it, and all those times I would ignore myself, and I'm laying there, and I'm having to experience what that feels like to my soul. No one could help me. I couldn't help, I had to feel it. I had to experience it. The music's still playing in the background through all of this, by the way. And I was experiencing ways that I have died in my past life. I was laying there and I went to go talk and I couldn't. My neck got chopped off. I can tell that I've been in war in past lives, or I've just been beheaded. My village had gotten slaughtered, and my head would get cut off, and I would turn and go to speak up for help because I didn't want to die. I didn't want to die yet. And I'm seeing my father and my brother and people that mean a lot to me, and people that usually make me feel safe and I know that can help me. I can't speak up to them. My lip would roll against the ground and it would go over. What I have there is temptation. All the times I've given in to temptation, and it's killed me. And then my head would roll back and I'd be feeling myself put in a coffin. And as I'm being lowered into the ground is when I took my last breath. I felt what it feels like to die and to take your last breath. And I realized that all those people I was trying to grab onto and pull on for help. They couldn't hear me and I couldn't speak, and I took my last breath, and then guess what? Nothing. It didn't matter. I was numb, free of feeling, because there was nothing left to feel. My life was over. And it was showing me that I cannot have attachments. I can't leave with attachments. And nobody can save me but myself. And when it comes to your actual blood, your family, the people you really love, and you can't take them with you, and you're wanting to, but when you take your last breath, it's not pain. It's not pain at all. There's peace. I do believe that you have to go through all the things that you had set out to do in this life, and if you didn't complete them, they get added to your karmic debt in your next life, and you do have to go through all these things and experience them. But there is peace after death. I truly felt that and believed that. But let me tell you, I feel like you visit hell first. You visit hell first, but you always end up in heaven. You have to. But the hell, it's okay. This was the most crippling experience of my life, but it was okay. And, well, anyways, back to me getting my head like cut off. I'm going through that motion, and I'm dying, and I'm dying, and I'm dying. And it's basically making me experience that over and over until I understand I can't have any attachments and that I'm dead. And I had to accept that I was dead. Well, my friend Alex could see that I was way too in deep, and I was stuck. So they decided to rape me. And I remember seeing them come up to me. The guy that's giving the rape is in front of me, and Alex is to my right. He's holding my head up because I'm slunched. And he gave me the strongest rape, the strongest dose, in the strongest breath he could. He said that surely has taken veterans to their ass. He gave me that, and I didn't even flinch. That's how far in deep that I was. And I realized the next day when I was talking to him about it, the reason I did not flinch was because by the time he had he blew it up my nose, and by the time I would have had the reaction to even flinch, I had already experienced it and died at least 100 times. That's how fast I was going. That's how fast my realities were going. And what was playing was, in a past life, somebody had broken into my home and shot me in the head. And I got blood came out of my nose. And it was from when he had hit me with the rape. I didn't flinch because I was just feeling all the times that I had died. And I just kept getting shot over and over. And from feeling the rape go up my nose, I felt all the times that I had done cocaine and killed myself from that. I could hear the people crying and throwing up around me, going through their own experience, and it was a reflection of all the times that I had made myself so sick from substance. I had drank myself to where I had blacked out. Every blackout I have ever experienced in this life, probably past life too, but I have died. My soul left. I've died a lot of times in this life. And all the times I was crying, and I told myself I wouldn't drink anymore, I wouldn't do substance anymore, I would never let myself get like that. There's so many times where I thought that I had almost died. But in reality, I have died. It's almost like there's so many times where I have almost stayed dead, but my soul is not done. I still have a purpose. And I've just been brought back. My soul just had to leave during those times of blackout. And I got a glimpse of how I was supposed to die in this life, and it was from overdosing. I was experiencing, I started to speed up all these times of doing lines, drinking, throwing up, crying, and it was just like I could just hear myself in a toilet bowl, basically. It was just like bleh, bleh. And what was happening was I finally took too much. And I wasn't coming back that time. I think I mixed up when I was getting lowered into the ground. That happened after I had experienced me overdosing, because that's what killed me. I didn't mean to. I didn't mean to take that much. I didn't mean to drink that much. And that time it didn't matter. All the people that I would reach out to for help weren't there that time. They couldn't help me because I was dead. And I have an understanding that I cannot touch substance anymore. Not even to have one drink. Because it always leads to another. Because I feel like I gain trust with myself, and then I realize I don't need it and I'm abusing my body. And now that I know that that's how I would die in this life if I continue on that path, but I have been giving chances again, and I am not choosing to do that. I'm choosing to live. There's other moments where when I was being shown all the things that I put off and ignore, my painting, my writing, I was playing guitar, and then I would put it down and I'd be like, wait, I'm getting good, like why? And like it would just get put to the side, and I didn't want to stop yet, but it was showing me all the times, like all of the gifts that I have and that I just don't access, that I put off and I don't make time for. And it showed me what I need to focus on, I need to do for myself. I do need to tap into those passions and those gifts. And I can't put them off anymore. I can't put myself off anymore. I have to show up for myself. And I finally came back. It was 3 hours. It felt like lifetimes and lifetimes. I also feel like I probably rambled a lot, but I can't believe I even was able to get all that I did out. Wrote down the things that I have learned from Mother Aya, and it is gratitude. Speak my truth at all times. Honor my sacred sexuality. Self-love and respect. Do not shame myself. Show up for myself. Mother Earth needs more love. That's for all of us. Actually, all of this is for all of us. No more putting things off. Create. Spend more time in nature. No more abusing substance. No more consuming toxins. When working with medicine, there must be ritual, ceremony, and intention. Do not cheat myself nor others. Protect my energy and who I invest my time in. Eat consciously. Meditate. Trust my intuition and trust Aya. Do not hold attachments. Breath is sacred. Patience, forgive, and understand. There's a whole different lightness to me. Hope you guys gain something from my experience. I gained so much that I'm glad I was able to find words to put it in. There's so much more, and I do plan on working with this medicine a lot more and working with the earth. So I love you all. Go out there and spread that love, and thank you for watching.